can't lock up the darkness. You're next. Never forget, I am the fastest man alive.
There are many villains in the CW Flash, some that you can never forget and others that are straight garbage. Coming soon to the theater near you, Star Wars, The Revenge of the Speedsters. But the one villain that left its mark was Zoom. This demon was on a different type of timing. If you were to ask me what the living personification of evil is, it's Zoom. Reverse Flash takes the title of being the pettiest hater in fiction. Zoom is evil incarnate. Season 2 introduced us all to the baddie known as Zoom, who is voiced by none other than the GOAT Tony motherfucking Todd, RIP. You know from the iconic Candyman, Final Destination, he also voiced Darkseid and Venom, all 19 inches. Let me stop. Tony Todd really voiced death itself. He had that aura when he appeared on screen, you felt chills going down your spine. When I was watching this for the first time back in high school, anytime I saw even a little bit of blue lightning, I knew someone was about to get clapped. Zoom was a type of villain where you actually feared for the lives of anyone on screen. That's how powerful this man was. Okay, enough of me glazing on how Zoom is the greatest Flash villain. Let's get into his introduction. So Zoom pulls up, coming out of the shadows, saying he's Jay Garrick and that he's from another Earth. And he was brought here from the wormhole that opened over Central City. And he goes on to say he's been spying on them, and that on his Earth, he is the Flash. I'm sure you is. And in his own reality, Jay as the Flash battles another speedster known as Zoom. But Barry is doubtful, considering the last man he trusted turns out to be his mom's killer and ruined his family. Not to mention, he just fought with someone who told Barry that he was sent to kill him by someone called Zoom and passed away from radiation poisoning. For all Barry knows, this could be a setup or a trap. He then goes to talking about Zoom is a speedster and he might be the fastest being of all time. He is an unstoppable force of nature with an unquenchable thirst for blood. Jay allegedly lost his speed and has spent the last 6 months attempting to piece together what happened. Barry finds all of this hella sus since, you know, he's the fastest man alive. He demands that they run tests on Jay to get proof that he was actually a speedster. But at the meantime, while he was cozying up to Caitlin and Team Flash, he was dropping off villains to kill the Flash. Barry was the only one who wasn't feeling Jay's sob story, and everything he said doesn't make a lick of sense. Barry then argues with everyone that they can't trust Jay or believe anything he has to say about Zoom. And here comes the fraud of a love interest, Iris, telling everyone to clear the room so she and Barry can discuss some things. She scolds and reprimands him, saying, "What happened to you? The you that I grew up with, the you that is my best friend, the you that became the Flash. You learn how not to trust people." Iris, please don't piss me off. I will make a part 2 video on you. I'm starting to question if she low-key has dementia, cause did she forget what happened in the last couple of months? To recap, the last time Barry decided to blindly put all his trust in a man that he put on a pedestal was also the man who ruthlessly murdered his mama, got his daddy sent to prison for said murder, and left Barry with a lot of unresolved trauma. The last time he trusted someone, Eddie got bodied, Ronnie got eviscerated, and a bunch of other people in Central City got packed up as well. So, Iris, baby girl, you're telling me that everything that happened to Barry in the last couple of months, he's supposed to magically forget because a random ass dude coming from the shadows says, "Hey, I'm the Flash from another dimension," and conveniently knows what's going on? And you call yourself a reporter? Lois Lane would never. She would have figured out his true identity and motive by the next episode. Next. Again, I question Iris's position in Team Flash when we literally have the fastest man alive who's also a genius CSI. We have multiple geniuses, a doctor, and a badass veteran cop. What does Iris do than just report the news? Does reporting the news help Team Flash? But the power of fine chocolate was too much for Barry, so he considers Iris's words and gives Jay the benefit of the doubt. Oh, he's gonna regret this choice later. They started training since Sand Demon snatched up Barry's new love interest, Patty. Jay tries to teach Barry to throw lightning, but Barry fumbles. Jay mentors him with the wise words, "You gotta slow down your brain like Patrick Star. Just feel." And Barry does exactly that. He hurls lightning towards Sand Demon, who turns into glass and breaks on the ground. After that amazing action of heroics, Barry in his Flash costume pulls up to see homegirl Patty at the coffee shop, but before he can do anything, he gets ragdolled by a shark. But thankfully, the man shark is knocked out by a gun by a mysterious stranger who's revealed to be Harrison Wells? Didn't you die last season? I know Barry is having mental whiplash. Not only is he dealing with Jay and the possibility that he might not be telling the truth, but now Barry has to deal with another Harrison Wells from where Zoom is from, whose speech patterns and mannerism are identical to Eobard Thawne, who took over the original Harrison Wells, taking all the mental, emotional, and physical strength Barry has to not throw him in a prison cell or kill him on the spot for looking like the man who murdered his mama. Naturally, Caitlin and Cisco are not feeling this new Wells at all, which is wild because they were quick to trust Jay, a stranger. Not to mention the Harrison Wells on their Earth got their bodies snatched by Eobard Thawne, so y'all really got beef with this guy and not him. You know that beef is still alive and burning when Papa Joe pulls up with the blicky and shoots 3 rounds point blank at Wells. Joe is the definition of it's on sight. Barry doing the Matrix manages to catch all the bullets. Soon they all get to plotting. Wells has a big brain idea on capturing Dr. Light and using her to lure Zoom here. But Jay, he crashes in hella hot, declaring that his plan is nothing but foolish brain rot and is gonna get Barry killed. Wells, not liking the bass in his voice, calls him weak and cowardly since he's been ducking his 1v1 from Zoom and has been hiding out on another Earth. With tensions rising, they get an alert on the location of Dr. Light, which turns out to be Barry's ex-girlfriend, fine homegirl Linda Park. And no, before any of you think that Linda turned to the dark side, this is Linda Park's doppelganger. And Barry, in shock, makes the mistake of calling her name. Dr. Light is spooked by her government name being dropped, pulls the solar flare, and temporarily blinds Barry. Barry, returning to Star Labs, reveals his fumble, and the team agrees they have to protect Linda from her doppelganger. They later manage to defeat and capture Dr. Light and decided to use their Linda to cosplay as Dr. Light to draw Zoom out. Jay, being a puss doesn't like this plan and dips out on them. But before he left, he was gassing up Zoom, explaining to Team Flash that Zoom is him, a living, running nightmare, and following Wells' plan, you will not only lose your speed, but your life, Barry. Barry says he spent all his life fearing the Reverse Flash. I ain't scared of no man that calls himself Zoom, and with that, Jay leaves. Back on Earth 2, Zoom has a prisoner who's the kidnapped daughter of Wells, having that little girl tied up like an animal.
All will kneel before Zoom.
Okay, but can we talk about the costume design for Zoom? Cause this is hella clean. Whoever was the costume director knew exactly what they were doing. I like how his mask around the mouth looks like melted skin from a fire that fused and meshed together. And if I'm gonna be honest, the live action movie Flash, they need to take some notes, cause what the hell is this?
Interesting artifact.
We go back to Earth 1 with Dr. Light packing up Barry with the swiftness, giving him that wombo combo special. But let's just say their acting was almost on 2B level of horrendous. I guess after a job well done, everyone retires for the night with fine homegirl Linda and the frog drinking a cold one. As Linda leaves to go home, she never stood a chance. Didn't even see the menace coming. Zoom doesn't say a word as he breathes heavy, leans to her face, growling menacingly before snatching her up. This is what Michael Myers would have been like if he had super speed. We go back to Team Flash and they get alerted that Zoom is on the roof. Barry runs to the rooftop to confront Zoom where he has Linda, his body crackling with blue electricity, back turned from the Flash as he watches over the city, a city that will soon kneel before Zoom. He chuckles while looking at the Flash. Oh no. When a villain laughs in the face of their opponent, you know the hero is about to get clapped. He got fine homegirl Linda and starts dangling her from the roof. Zoom, with nothing but pitch black darkness in his eyes, stares at Barry and drops her. Barry runs down and saves his side piece, but Linda in a panic tells him, you can't fight that thing. It's a monster. Now listen, I know his fit is terrifyingly clean, but how would she know? She's only been captured by Zoom for a couple of minutes, not hours. Zoom pulls up as he and Barry stare each other down. The level of confidence that Barry has to casually walk up to the personification of death itself is bonkers. The aura that Zoom has as he watches Barry just staring at him, unfazed, clearly thinking this is gonna be easy mode. Back inside, Caitlin, Wells, and Cisco are watching the scene unfold on the security cameras. Wells commenting that Zoom is or was human. If he ain't human, what the hell is he? All three of them already having doubts that Barry can defeat Zoom, and mind you, he's only been on screen for a few minutes. Barry rings around the Rosie, charging up a lightning bolt, but Zoom just stands there unimpressed, not even bothering to intercept or stop Barry. This demon leaps into the air, catches the lightning bolt, and tosses that mug back to Barry. Return to sender. Team Flash is getting a 4K viewing of that magnificent display of power. They even start praising the redirection of that attack. Flash gets up after tasting the concrete, demanding to know what Zoom wants. Barry pulls out a syringe containing the serum and baits Zoom. Barry gets to stepping as Zoom decides, you know what? I'll play with him, and pulls up right behind him. As they start scrapping in the air, Barry has butterfingers and loses his grip on the syringe, but Zoom catches it and ejects it into Barry, crashing into the ground. Zoom got my guy Barry pinned by the neck, but killing him would be too easy. It's not enough. He picks him up and hits him with a right hook and starts packing Barry up. We see Wells watching this one-sided massacre with a clear shot to hit Zoom, but even he's stunned by the beating Barry is taking. Just as Wells is about to shoot, Zoom the demon does his own version of baiting the hero and breaks Barry's spine. You hear the crack and bone snapping, dropping to the ground, defeated, bloody, and pride ruined. Just as Zoom is about to go in for the final blow, Wells finally fires his gun, but Zoom easily catches the dart, twirls it around, and stabs Barry right in the heart. Team Flash watches in stunned silence as they can't do anything. Zoom snatches the broken Barry and drags his body all around the city before stopping at the news station. Zoom has Barry by the back of his collar, holding him like a dog, with Iris, the fraud love of his life, watching in horror. He actually waits until they start live streaming and starts to talk messy about Barry.
This man is no god. He is nothing.
Zoom holds Barry up like a trophy and speeds off. The level of embarrassment I would feel if I were in Barry's position. It's one thing to get my ass handled and humbled with only my team witnessing, but it's a whole nother thing with everyone in Central City seeing as well. Barry is better than me. I would have retired after that night. And that's exactly what Zoom is doing. This is the public humiliation of the Flash, and the entire city is uproar center to the viewing, to let them know their so-called hero, their savior, is nothing but a man who got clapped, and there is nothing he can do, or anyone else for that matter. Zoom heads over to the police station, holding Barry up like a prize. The cops start blasting, but Zoom easily catches all the bullets with one hand, by the way. Zoom is a different breed, because he didn't need to catch the bullets. He has super speed. He easily could have sidestepped to the right, but he didn't want to miss his chance to aura farm and leave the cops feeling nothing but helplessness. Zoom runs around the city, dragging Barry's body, still holding him by the collar as he's ragdolled by the living embodiment of Black Air Force energy. His final destination is at Star Labs, where he confronts Wells.
You thought you could defeat me with this?
Bitch.
why I feel like he disrespected me. If I, the viewer, felt that, I don't want to know the level of despair Barry is feeling. Zoom strips Barry of his mask while having a death grip around his neck before stabbing him with a demonic claw. This is the face of a man who is shook, confused, terrified, and seeing his life flashing before his eyes. Right when he's about to execute Barry, Cisco comes in clutch and shoots him. I don't know why he only shoots once. I would have kept blasting until I emptied the entire magazine, causing Zoom to haul ass. Barry returns to the land of the living with a neck brace and tubes all over his body. Damn. I haven't seen a hero get bodied like this since Mark fought Conquest. While Caitlin and Cisco are happy that Barry is awake, he tells them he can't feel his legs. His first fight with Zoom, and Barry's out here looking like Professor Xavier. Was that too much? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be roasting Barry like that. After his humiliating defeat to Zoom and some motivational speech from his father Henry, Barry is up and ready for round 2. Harry was originally gonna dip out and head back to Earth 2 after seeing that one-sided ass beating. Harry, the guy who was hyping Barry up, is now putting him down, saying the Flash is no match for Zoom. And speaking of Zoom, he's chasing Wells in the halls of Star Labs, pushing him inside a cornered room, running around all the walls, knocking the gun out of his hands, and picking him up by the throat. Bro, what is it with Zoom and choking his ops out? Is that a kink he got? Let me not even shame him. Ain't nothing wrong with having a kink, as long as you ask for consent. Zoom, substituted for Krampus, tells Harry,
Merry Christmas.
"Ugh, with your musty hot ass breath." They link up in secret, but Harry, being big brain, realizes Zoom's game plan and why he was spamming villain after villain to attack and kill Barry. He wants to buffen and make Barry faster, stronger, so that when the time is right, he'll come in and siphon off his speed for himself. Zoom is basically doing a Goku right now, cause if anyone knows anything about Goku, he'll always let his enemies get stronger, so he'll have a fun opponent to fight. Harry ain't feeling this plan, but changes his tune when Zoom pulls out his trap card. Father and daughter are finally reunited and swears that nothing will— Ooh! Zoom is on another level when strategizing against his enemies, using emotional blackmail to keep Wells in check and remind him that he doesn't have to kill Jessie. He can bring her to the brink of death and just repeat the process over and over again, a never-ending cycle of torture.
Brilliant, incredible, amazing, show-stopping, spectacular, never the same, totally unique, completely not ever been done before.
Locking in, Wells with no other choice will help Zoom steal the Flash's speed. And he was not lying either, because the next thing you know, he got Barry's speed and Zoom, wasting no time, injects it into himself like a drug addict who hasn't had their fix in a hot minute. Wells thought he was in control for a minute and demanded his daughter back. Zoom had to remind him of his place.
When you work for me, you leave when I say you can leave.
We switch back to Team Flash and everybody notices that Barry is running hella slow. Slow to the point where he wasn't fast enough to save Iris the fraud from a glass shard. Barry wrestles with guilt at being slower than the nutty professor, and Wells, feeling responsible because he is, confesses that he was taking Barry's speed juices and feeding it to Zoom. Papa Joe wastes no time, clocks him in the face, and tosses him in a cell. Barry is not surprised by the betrayal, but returns to Wells, wanting to know why he did it. Wells gives him the short recap that Zoom has his daughter, and the only way to keep her alive was to give him his daily dose of the Flash's speed. But none of that matters since he signed her death certificate.
You want a pat on the back?
Not gonna lie, Joseph, he actually made me mad when he said that. I understand where his anger is coming from, but if the roles were reversed and somebody was threatening Iris and the only way to keep her alive was to steal Barry's speed, best believe he would have done so with a swiftness. Barry, feeling sympathy for Wells, finally understands why he stole his speed. It wasn't out of malice, it was desperation, and Barry decides they have to help him. If not for Wells himself, then for his daughter. This leads them to taking a boys' trip to to Earth 2 and encountering their doppelgangers. We even get to see the baddie that is Killer Frost. If I haven't made it aware, I am a die-hard Snowberry shipper, and I'll gladly die on this ship Titanic style. Reverb, who thinks he's God, jumps Barry with Ronnie trying to end him, which is strictly against Zoom's instructions. Those instructions were, if you encounter a speedster, leave them unharmed and alive. It doesn't matter if you hire super or dumb henchmen, they stay fumbling. He grabs Barry and zooms away and puts him in a glass cage, the same prison where Jesse is. Barry is geeked that he found Jesse, and Zoom, sensing happiness in the forest. Bro, he gets scarier every time he does that. Dude, even the reverse Flash didn't have this level of intimidation like Zoom. Look at Jessie, she is ducking as soon as he appeared. Zoom, having enough of Wells' shenanigans, puts a bounty on his head. Cisco and Wells, in a panic, tried to dip, but there was no place they could hide from death. Zoom heads over to Star Labs and makes easy work of the cops. And I was giving the heavy side eye to the cops because out of everyone, they should have known what this demon is capable of and why his name is Zoom. For context, there was a 911 phone call about a hostage situation, and when the SWAT team got there, there were no hostages. It was a setup. Zoom placed the cheese and the cops were the mice. He wanted to show the police that they couldn't stop him and slaughtered 14 cops and left one alive to tell his story to amplify his legend. The officer who escaped described blue lightning zooming around, and that's the birth of the name Zoom. What's even more foul, the cop that thought he was spared and was the lucky one? Nah. Zoom pulls up to his crib to finish the job. No survivors, no final boy or girl. Zoom chokes out another person, demanding to know where Wells is, and they were fleeing into a panic room with Barry's doppelganger. And let me tell y'all, the way my butt was clenching in fear for them, because I thought Zoom was gonna find and body all of them. That's how powerful and spine-chilling he is. He phases through the wall and finds nothing. Turns out they were chilling behind another hidden wall. I don't know if they just got lucky or if God was working overtime to protect them. We go back to Barry talking to a guy with a jigsaw type mask over his head, and Zoom returns, not liking that Barry was trying to give everyone their hope and starts choking him out. Why is Zoom spamming that one attack? He's not beating the choking king allegations. And starts piecing up Barry with a right, a left, a kick to the chin, made my guy Barry spin like a ballerina before falling to the ground. We skip ahead to all of them eventually escaping, except for the guy in the mask. Everyone makes it back home to Earth 1. Everyone is cheering, congratulating that the nightmare is finally over, and just as the breach is closing... Now, I'm sure all of you are thinking, Jay's dead?
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
Zoom takes off his mask and reveals that face card to be none other than Jay himself. You know what? We need to give this man Jay all the applause and an Oscar for that outstanding performance. Had everyone in that room hollering, hooting, and crying. We later learn from an off-brand speedster named Trajectory who's using that new street drug Velocity 9 and gains super speed. But there's a downside to V9. The faster the user goes, their lightning turns blue, much like Zoom's, and she ends up disintegrating. Back at Star Labs, the team starts connecting the dots. Trajectory's breakdown, the blue lightning, her body literally tearing itself apart. Zoom's not just power hungry, he's sick. He's dying. That's why he desperately wants Barry's speed. It's his cure. Barry starts having suspicions that Jay is Zoom, and Cisco uses his powers to revive Jay's helmet, and the reveal is shown that Jay is in fact Zoom. Barry, beyond devastated, speeds off to a canyon and screams. I feel for him. Imagine placing your trust in a man again just to get betrayed. I blame Iris. Listen, when Jay first pulled up, Barry was not feeling him at all, but Iris put her 2 cents in and had Barry reconsider. This is why she should not be in Team Flash. Look at what her decision making does. Team Flash eventually pieces together that there is no Garrick on Earth 1, his supposed doppelganger. His real name is Hunter Zolomon. That name immediately sets off alarms for Wells, who finally reveals the truth. On Earth 2, Hunter Zolomon was a convicted serial killer. He was dumped into an orphanage and grew up twisted and broken. He went on to kill 23 people before he was finally caught and locked in a mental hospital. The particle accelerator explosion hit. The blast infused with Speed Force energy, and that's the moment Zoom was born. Barry gets an idea on how to defeat him. Barry brings Zoom to Star Labs. Inside, Zoom finds that Barry has set the room with dummies of his parents, a picture of his father that murdered his mother, and the distraction worked as Barry started jumping Zoom and placed meta-human chains on him. And Zoom actually praises Barry with this little scheme of his. Real recognizes real. And then he says the coldest line in season 2.
You can't lock up the darkness.
Zoom breaks free and dips. Barry returns home to find the place is ransacked and sees a message on the wall.
Your speed for Wally's life.
Barry agrees with the deal, and Zoom brings Wally and unmasks himself, revealing that face card. The best part of this episode is Joe questioning him why was he pretending to be their friend and being a hero.
To give people hope, Detective. Hope. So I could rip it away from them.
Oh, you evil, okay? They drain every last drop of Barry's speed, and Zoom is so desperate for that hit of pure speed force that he rips the injector straight out of Wells' hand. The second it enters his system, he reacts like it's the most euphoric rush he ever felt. He's so ecstatic that he grabs Barry, fully prepared to kill him right then and there, but Caitlin steps in. Zoom hesitates, then bolts, vanishing as he takes Caitlin with him. We're gonna skip ahead because a lot was going down at this point. The team attempts to restore Barry's speed, but the experiment backfires horrendously. Barry literally starts to break apart. Zoom shows up just to gloat over Barry's charged suit, flexes on them, and speeds off. Oh, but plot twist, Barry isn't dead. In fact, he's alive inside the Speed Force itself. He's going through his whole metaphysical character development arc and eventually comes back stronger and faster than ever. Meanwhile, Zoom is busy trying to make Earth 1 kneel, unleashing an army of metahumans to claim the world as his own. And in the midst of all that chaos, he actually lets Caitlin go. He gives her this twisted ultimatum. If she stays, it means she's with him. If she leaves, he'll know she's against him. Everything finally starts looking up in Barry's life. He decides to axe out the fraud when Caitlin is right there. The group gathers around the table, toasting the family. Where's Vin Diesel at? Cisco out of nowhere gets a vibe and sees Earth 2 Central City being destroyed, and Zoom appears having a chokehold around Barry's dad and gets to stepping. This demon Zoom takes Barry's dad back to the house where his mom was murdered by the Reverse Flash, the night that changed Barry forever. Barry starts begging and pleading to Zoom to let his dad go and just kill him instead. But Zoom, in that twisted mind of his, decides that if he kills Henry the same way Barry's mom was murdered, he could finally force Barry to become just like him. So he does the unthinkable.
Your mother and I love
Can Barry get a break, please? He lost his mom and now his dad, who was fresh out of prison too. Barry is crying for his dad to not leave him, and Zoom, buzzing with joy, just watches. Barry is sent into a blind rage and chases him through the city, and when he catches him, he starts beating the brakes off him. Removing his mask, Barry vibrates his hand, prepared to kill him until it was a time remnant. Barry and Zoom, having enough of this cat and mouse game of theirs, decided to end it once and for all with a race. Oh, I also forgot to mention Zoom also kidnapped Papa Joe. Barry and Zoom get to running. As they race around, Barry creates a time remnant to free Joe and destroy the machine, but it also costs the life of the time remnant, and we'll see why in season 3 that was a bad idea. Barry and Zoom start boxing, and Barry gains the upper hand and elbows him to the concrete, defeating Zoom. But just when Barry was about to finish it, 2 time wraiths pull up and attack him, transforming him into a zombie-like being. The time wraiths drag him away, punishing him for his crimes against the timeline. And that's the end of Zoom and the birth of the Black Flash. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the notification bell so you never miss an update, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!